Aloha everyone, my name is Alessandro and this is the Temple of Surf, the podcast. We'll give you full access to the best surfers, skaters, shapers, surfboard collectors, shop owners in the world. Discover with me their stories, the greatest successes, amazing behind the scenes, and much more. Aloha, welcome to the 11th episode of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today's episode is bringing us to the origin of surf in China. Nik Zanella, author of the book Children of the Tide, shared with us more about him as a surfer and all his discoveries about surf Chinese journey. Hi Nick, and welcome to the show. I'm so happy. Two Italian guys finally on the show. Actually, we had Roberto D'Amico. He was in the first series, so that was the other Italian person on the show. But I'm so happy to have you here, representing Italy, representing surf in China. We have a lot to talk about. But where are you now?
Right now, I'm in Shenzhou Peninsula, which is a peninsula on Hainan Island, down super south in the South China Sea. And not many of our readers or followers will know about Hainan. It's a small island. We had 6 world's longboarding championship. The most famous spot is Rie Bay. We have about 7 left-hander point breaks and a mighty right-hander.
Amazing. I guess after this podcast, maybe you're going to receive some visitors going.
I don't think so. Like, it's COVID times. You guys are not allowed to come over. This is good news for me.
Let's hope COVID will be erased from the world very soon, so we can go back to travel anywhere, not even in China, but all to our families and people and friends around the world. Anyway.
Visit us.
Of course. Today we're going to talk about you as a surfer, surfing in China, of course. That's something that you are very prepared of, and many other things. But the first question I ask everybody, what is the most important thing in your opinion in surfing?
Like, personally, for me, surfing is about catching waves. I could go on and muse for a couple of hours about, mystical implications and what surfing means for me. But when I get in the water, the most important things for me is to catch a lot of high quality waves, possibly alone.
Yeah. Possibly alone, as we were saying before in our intro that is not recorded, is quite a rarity today in the surf environment. Like, if you look at the videos of Pipeline today, it looks like so crowded. It is so crowded, right? So you have that.
Well, it's getting crowded everywhere on the planet, and it's actually picking up here as well. But I still have a few secret spots where I can surf alone.
That's good. Keep them secret. When did you start surfing? What was your first surfboard, the proper one?
Well, I started surfing in Italy back in 1982, and I was on a windsurf board, and I was on the east coast of Italy, and I fell in love with the feeling of catching waves. Then fast forward a few years, I traveled to California during my high school years. I caught a few waves in Imperial Beach in San Diego, and I got completely blown away by the experience. And I've been surfing a couple of 100 days a year ever since.
Not bad. Not bad. And what was your first proper surfboard? Like the one that you said, like, oh my God, this is what I wanted.
Okay, my first proper surfboard was a surfboard built in the Canaries. It was one of my first destinations was Fuerteventura. Started going there, let's say, in the late 80s, early 90s. And I used to spend my winters like surfing Lobos, almost alone. And we used to camp there. And my first surfboard was 6'4", shaped by some crazy Italians that used to work there, and it was called like No Work Team. Okay. And that was my first proper shortboard.
Okay. So you're surfing shortboard, right? You like instead of longboard, or you have a preference? Or
Well, I cannot control my surfing. It's my surfing is controlling me.
okay.
I went through different stages, and I've been a shortboarder and a skateboarder for most of my life. I'm mainly shortboarding right now, but I went through like quite a few years of longboarding because I've been working for the WSL and for the ISA at several longboarding World Cups here in Hainan. So I've been influenced by people the like of Wingnut. So I got really deep into longboarding for a few years, and right now I'm back into shortboarding. Like surfing pretty much manipulates me the way it wants.
Okay, definitely a good point. Good straight. I like surfing manipulate us in the way, like there is like a big project above our heads, like, and so China, like surfing in China, and you even wrote a book about it, like Children's of the Tide. Surfing in China, as far as I understood, is as a sport is a relatively new thing, but there are maybe 100 years of history, right?
Look, like, okay, if we talk about it from a linguistical point of view, which is the approach that my book took to this discipline, surfing as the word surfing that we know is maybe only 30 years old. The first surfer that caught waves in China was Peter Druyum. Peter Druyum was a flamboyant Gold Coast surfer who got commissioned the first surf development project in Hainan, right where I am pretty much, in 1985. And the project lasted for a couple of weeks. It was a big culture shock. Then Peter Druyum went back to the Gold Coast and became a woman. So there's a book about him that's called Becoming Westerly, and he was like quite inspiring and strange guy. Okay, so this is then surfing picked up again. Let's say in the early 2000s, and Hainan has been pretty much the epicenter of the surf development project since then. In 2016, surfing entered the Olympic program. China started treating surfing like any other sport. So like a national team was built. I was commissioned to recruit the athletes together with Peter Townend. And from then on, it's been a crescendo until now. Now we have about 15 regional teams, one Olympic team, and there's a lot of money behind it. And there's surfing pools being built. It's a big project. But if we talk about surfing from the wave riding point of view, that is much older. Okay, then we go towards what my book is about, and it's wave riding in dynastic China. So I found traces of people riding waves in China, and those documents go back to the 9th century. So from that point of view, wave riding is 1,000 plus years old.
Even before the Polynesian, right? Or at the same time?
Well, that is not something that I ever wrote in my book. Okay, we Polynesians didn't have a written language, so we don't really know from them when they started standing up. According to Matt Warshaw and all the surf historians, they possibly started standing up on boards around the 10th century.
Okay.
But I don't really want to get into who did it first. That's not really the point of my book.
I don't think it's relevant who did it first, but from an historical perspective, I think it's interesting to know that there is like a culture that nobody was expecting, right? Because everybody will say Polynesian, Hawaiian, American, Australian, but there were Chinese much before, and so it's so interesting, right? Super interesting.
Well, think about it from an evolutionary point of view. Okay, dolphins were surfing before any of us
Of course.
was even on the planet, possibly. Okay, so it's not a matter of who did it first. I mean, my book, Children of the Tide, it's one chapter of the history of wave riding, and wave riding popped up in different cultures in different era. Think about the caballitos de Totora in Peru. That's around 1000 BC. And then there's traces of surfing in West Africa, going back possibly to the 15th century. There's really no point in thinking about who did it first. It's like agriculture. It popped up in many different places, wherever the environment, wherever the culture is ready for that, wherever there is enough resources for people to be on a bay with waves and having enough free time to enjoy what they have, it pops up. God knows how many times it materialized out of nowhere. So it's really not, it's not about who did it first. It's about just telling a different beginning.
I agree with you. In fact, we come back on the books in a few moments. You are talking about all basically Chinese surfers and surf industry that is structuring behind all the surf pools, all the surfers, and you talk about Olympics. And what I know, at least, that usually when we come to Olympics and Olympic team, the China team is very, very competitive and very, very strong. But in surfing, in normal surfing, that's not like is not happening. At least in the tour and among surfers. So how long will it take, in your opinion, to see like maybe the first real Chinese surf champ, or if that will ever happen, in your opinion, is a possibility, or is something that is just like not a dream, but something that will not happen?
Well, surfing has about 100 years of wide history, and there's been competition going on since possibly the 50s and 60s. So we're pretty good at that. I mean, the Americans, the Australians, the Europeans are pretty good at that. And it took, think about Italy, right? How long did it take for Italy to produce someone like Leo Fioravanti? It took all 30 years. Well, China is starting from a completely different point of view, okay? So in Europe and in the US, the common situation is your father is a surfer, he takes you surfing, you become pretty good, dad pays for all your expenses until you get sponsored, and then you eventually win competitions, and maybe you get into the Olympics, or you become world champion, or you get into the top 10 of the WSL like Leo is doing right now. In China, that's not what happens. In China, is the government started from zero, recruited kids from other sports, and trained them and paid for some of the best coaching that you can have in order to get them to the level of the international surfers. That means that the kids that I've been training, the kids that are into this project, they don't do anything else. Okay, they surf, they train, they do conditioning. They work 6 days a week to get to that level. What does that mean? That means that they're improving at a speed that you guys have no idea. Okay, I give you this example. I was working with the national team first, and then I moved into one of the regional teams. Some of the kids that I coached from zero went from I am pushing them on a soft top in November, and they're surfing in Sumatra on a shortboard the next August.
Wow.
Okay, and they're doing top turns, and they're doing cutbacks, and they're freaking enjoying it. So the best kids of the best teams, the best kids of the Olympic teams, they are at a WQS level right now. And maybe they've been surfing for 3-4 years. So give them another 3-4 years, and they would be ready to compete, at a high level QS.
Wow.
So it takes time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It might take 10 years. Okay, so from 2016, you count 10 years, and that's pretty much the time scale that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's only a matter of when it happens, because it will happen. This is what you're saying.
Yeah. Look, I was head judging recently at the Nationals, because I'm freelancing right now for the World Sports Department, and I was blown away. I mean, I was really blown away, especially by the girls. Some of the girls are at that level. They're this close to getting there.
Wow, amazing. Super interesting. I mean, fantastic. And there is quite a lot of unknown, right? And I guess we will see it soon happening also on the bigger circuit of pro surfing. I'm sure about it. You said about your career or your work as a coach. In your opinion, what is the most important advice or the most frequent advice that you always give to the people you coach?
Well, the most frequent advice I give is, if you like it, go on. If you don't like it, get a job. Okay. That is my... Because...
more than pragmatic, I would say.
Pretty pragmatic, man. I live in a pragmatic communist environment, and I'm pretty straight when I speak to my kids, okay? And that is it. If you like it, if you're enjoying what we do, if you enjoy the wake up, surf, eat, surf, go to sleep routine, go on with it. If you don't, get a job.
Yeah. I think there is the part of enjoying surfing, not as a professional sport, right? And there is a part of enjoying competitive surfing. Right. I was talking with Roberto D'Amico.
They know pretty well.
Italian surfer, and he told me, Alessandro, he went pretty well in his career as a competitive surfer, right? And he told me in the show, he said, Alessandro, I arrived to a point where I couldn't compete anymore because it was I was not feeling well. The tension and the preparation. And so I gave up the competition and I went into making movies, videos, and that made me so happy, going all over the world and doing surf trip. And so there is a lot of preparation, mental preparation as well behind being a competitive surfer, right?
Of course, in the sport environment that I live in, it's only about competition. Okay, you get selected by the way you react to competition. Like the kids that are in the teams, not only they have a very solid national championship with maybe 5 or 6 stops, they continuously compete among themselves, because some of them get cut off, some of them get moved to the national team, some of get into the Olympic team. So it's all about competition. Still, if you don't like the fact of catching waves, you shouldn't be in that team.
Of course,
you shouldn't be doing it. And I really try to stress with them that they're lucky. They get paid to surf.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my family was not too happy about me wasting times and cutting classes and going to the beach and not being a successful person. So if I have the slightest doubt that they don't like it, I just go straight to the point. So yeah, That's the way I feel. I'm addicted to surfing like a junkie. So I think that they're really lucky to be doing what they do.
Amazing, amazing. Let's go back to the book, Children of the Tide. Two things, in effect. I have two questions. The first question is like, what was your objective when you wrote the book, and if you feel like you reached that objective, if you had one?
Well, my goal while reading the book was to tell a story that had never been told before. I mean, I had the feeling that the story of those guys surfing in the 13th century and doing what they did, I felt that story chose me to come alive. That story is quite famous in between Chinese people, but they didn't know that was surfing. And, I graduated in university in Venice. My major was Chinese language and philosophy. And I totally felt like I was picked up by those guys, lost in dynastic chronicles. I was picked up to tell their story because their story is so fascinating. I think I reached my goal. I mean, the book is doing really good. It's been reviewed like very, very positively by the intelligentsia of the surf world, and like it's been on maybe 30 media, and not only like every single surf media spoke about that, and plus a lot of mainstream media. And so I feel like I achieved my goal. Did I do a good job? Could I have done a better job? Of course, yes. But I'm very happy of the result.
Yeah. And then, things haven't even started, because when Chinese surfer will be, let's say, standing among the top pro surfer in the world, then definitely there will be even more attention to Chinese surf and Chinese history of surfing. So then the reference is going to be your book, right? So
that's, I don't know. I mean, not many Chinese people read or write English. My book came out in English, and I mean, I have to thank Sam Bleakley, English author and filmmaker, who turned my Italian Chinese English into Cambridge English. Okay. And but still, not many Chinese people know about my book. Okay, when I tell the story, they're pretty blown away. But it's not easy when you're looking at the future of a sport to appreciate the past. Yeah. So I'm also in touch with the editors to translate the book and have it distributed in China, but it's been way more successful abroad than it has been inside China.
It's a starting point. It's a starting point. Among the stories in the book, is there one particularly inspiring story for you that you prefer or meaningful?
Well, the book is 250 pages, and there's a lot of fun storytelling inside that. It's not an essay, even if it revolves around translating dynastic chronicles and poems. It's a lot about me. It's not only about their stories, about how their story got to me. So one of the funniest stories of the book, I don't want to get in too much into etymology or linguistics, that's part of it. One of the funniest stories is when, after working at the sources of the book for a few years, I finally went and surfed the wave that they surfed. So you have to know that all their surfing was based on a river wave, a tidal wave that happens in Hangzhou, which was the capital of the Song dynasty. It was like possibly the biggest town on the planet around 1250 of the current era. And there were parades, there were surfing it, and the whole book revolves around that. But then in 2007, together with John Callahan, photographer, and a few European riders. Among them was Francesco Palatella, who was Italian champion back then. We went to Hangzhou and tried to surf the river. What happened was that the river was completely off limits. You cannot even get close to it. We got in touch with local fishermen and we collected info and we pretty much poached it. Okay? We did it illegally. And then police caught us. We nearly got to jail. We got kicked out of town. And that's one of the funniest chapters of the book. Okay? from the storytelling point of view. That had like great reviews around because it's just fun when shit happens.
Yeah, definitely. So, what are your future projects? We thought about you about like a coach, author. What's next? Surfer for sure.
Look, it's been a crazy, crazy year this year. Okay, so my son Amos was born in February this year. And we were in Beijing, so it was like the first red zone that I crossed, and it was like full-on epidemics in Beijing, and we were in a hospital. Then I flew back to Italy to be with my mom and with my friends for a few weeks, and I got stuck in Italy in Europe for 8 months. I spent summer in Spain. Then I figured out that all my friends in Spain that were surfing with me were from another epicenter of the coronavirus in Spain. In September, I managed to catch a crazy flight back to China, and then I've been quarantined again. Like this year, I've been quarantined for over 100 days. So for now, just the fact of being back on the island and being able to surf, it's already an achievement. I'm freelancing for the water sport department right now, and I don't even want to think about the future. I'm just enjoying the present and just being able to be with my family and and surfing good waves with not many people around. Regarding my research, I'm working at a documentary about children of the tide, and it's going to be mainly about the last of them. Because what you don't know is that they kept surfing illegally. They kept surfing that wave until the 1980s, completely detached from the Polynesian version of the sport. So I'm working at that. And, I run ISA instructor trainings here. So I just want to keep rolling like that. Okay. I call it the People's Republic of Empty Waves. And I just want to keep on surfing empty waves.
That's cool. Definitely. Great thing. I like your pragmatism, in the approach that you have in every topic. We're going to finish our interview with a short Q&A session. So please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind, okay?
Let's go.
Let's go. The best surfboard that you have ridden?
Best surfboard that I've ever ridden was Hawaiian Island creation Martin Potter model, on which he won the 1991 world champion, that I bought in Bondi Beach in 1991. A BH, Blue Hawaii.
Okay, nice. And you still have it?
I don't. I sold it, man. Like I freaking sold it. I love that. But I was broke. I was in the Canaries. I was 20 years old. I needed money.
Your favorite shaper?
My favorite shaper, like some of my most magic surfboard that I had were from Nev Hindman.
Yeah, Nev. Of course.
I'd say Nev. I had a crazy good Fletcher model from Nev, and I had a really, really, really good boards from that guy.
Those like 80s so colorful boards, or not?
Yeah, let's say 90s. Come on, I'm not that old, okay? Like 90s. Yeah, 90s Nev boards were pretty much top class.
Yeah. Personal question: your favorite song?
My favorite song is "What I Got" by The Sublime.
Favorite surf spot?
My favorite surf spot. Oh man, I fell in love with so many surf spots in my life. My favorite spots right now is a left in front of Le Meridian Hotel here that I've been surfing for the past 10 days. And it's been unreal. Like 150 meter left-hander sand bottom point. You just can do 10 top turns. So I live in the present, and this is what I'm surfing now. I'm really in love with that left.
Definitely.
And I'm a regular.
Okay, that's good. Your favorite surfer of all time or today?
Let's say right now would be Torren Martin. I really love the way the guy surfs.
Okay.
And in history, I would say Tom Curran.
Yeah, definitely. He came up with a recent video shot in Mexico during the.
Exactly.
Yeah. Looks very nice. I saw it, and it has been also part of the show. So I had the opportunity to interview him. It was very cool interview. The last question, you know that already. It's a little bit unusual. We ask everybody your best relationship advice.
My best relationship advice, is get a wife who doesn't surf.
Get a wife that doesn't surf. Okay, can you elaborate on that?
Let's say I tried several different degrees of relation in between wives and girlfriends and surfing, and I came to the conclusion that surfing is something that I do and I do for myself.
Okay.
And I'm not really good at sharing. Okay. So surfing is my thing, and it's my ego trip. And so my advice is get a wife that doesn't surf.
Okay. You want really to keep those waves empty, all for you. Come on. But the wife can surf them. My God, that's kind of, okay. That's radical. Cool.
No.
Thanks a lot, Nik, for being on the show with me.
Thank you, Alan.
And I look forward to talk to you very, very soon.
It's a pleasure. Touch base anytime.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!